All right. Good evening, LinkedIn. Dave Wilson of the Ring of Hire Show. I saw Mr. Kenny D already on there early, so we're going to have a great show tonight as soon as I click the right setting here again. There we go. We're going to be talking about why choose, if you have a staffing company, what would make you choose one over the other, your competitors. So I'll be right back after this video. I am just not prepared tonight, Kenny, because I saw your name. And look at that. It's always a live show and you can always think, but here we go. If it stops wheeling, right? Oh my God. There we go. See you soon. Now that was one rough start. I'll tell you, when you do the live shows, you just don't know what's going to happen. Between if you sit down here, you have all these clicks where you're trying to read the slides and comments and the banners and the private chats and all this, and you're trying to also talk. And then when you have your fans set up high, all your papers are all blown all over. But it's just part about being live and the best thing about it. And of course, Kenny, I have not seen you in so long. This gentleman, look at this. They savor the flavor, awesomeness in you serve, or sharing your delectable, scrumptiously, deliciously, anybody tasty, good, heartfelt nuggets of wisdom, kindness, goodness, patience, and courage, empathy. You know what, Kenny? Compassion, inspiration. You could do a regular show. I could do a show on that post that you've done. Yeah, I took a couple times off here, doing some shows. I cut back from doing some. I do like about 3 a week now, but when you're trying to do the shows to come up with things to talk about live, it gets challenging sometimes. You get some brain blockage, and you're trying to find guests and just keep a show going, and maybe somebody will watch it. But Kenny, that's where I've been, but I haven't seen you in a while, and it's good to be back. Tonight I wanted to talk about with the staffing companies, why would you choose one over the other? And coming from a lot of years of staffing, a lot of people, the clients will say, wow, they're expensive. Staffing companies are expensive, and they are. But I'm going to be on Just Cause. There's so many things that go into staffing, and you could look at a couple different things of pricing. A lot of people will say, wow, well, let's talk about pricing. Let's go with the cheapest, or cut it back, save some money. But I got a good guy here on. Hey, Bob, how you doing, sir? I saw a couple. Congratulations. I think you got yourself a new job, if I recall. And if I don't even want to say the mistake of it, but I know you posted it, that you had a new job. But congratulations. I know you work hard, Bob, and being a veteran. He's a great guest when he comes on the show a lot. A lot of these guys and ladies that watch the show, listen, you can always reach out to them, and they're just great colleagues. But the expenses of an agency, I'm going to take you with like logistics versus professional services. Professional services sometimes are expensive, but there's causes, like I told you. I'm going to give you a basic rundown of staff and company and logistics. All right. let's just an example, $10 an hour, right? That's what you're going to pay the employee, $10, because that's what the client's agreed upon, right? So $10, and you got a 40% markup. We're going to just say it easy. Oh, we got the main man in here too. Oh, it was the same company. Okay. All right, Bob. I knew you announced something. Steve's in the house. How you doing, buddy? Hope everything's going well. You'll love this one, Steve. Many things in life you have to pay. No ifs and buffs about it. And he says that right, because Steve will agree to this. Now, in high volume, if you're talking like a staffing company, we reach out and you're going to pay those employees $10 an hour. I'm using that as an example at a 40% markup, right? A lot of people don't realize. All right, so you're going to make $14 an hour that you're going to bill the client. All right, easy, right? $10 an hour. You think, wow, they're making $4 an hour off of a person, each employee, right? Well, when you break it down and you take your 40%, right, your bill rate, your $4, you're making $14 an hour. $4 an hour off of an employee, 8-hour shift, you're making $32 per day. You're making $160 in 5 days off this person, right? But let's back it up. But let's take your burden costs, because of staffing company, you got to hear this now. If they're going to do a 44, 45%, whatever markup, you're not making all that money. You got burden costs. So if you have a 30% burden, right? I mean, you got to pay the bills. You got to pay. You got to pay your staff. You have a team, right? You got yourself your office. You got you know what it is in an office with 4 people, receptionists, and you're making pennies on the dollar up that 30%. After that 30% burden, you might come down to from $160 a week that you're thinking you're making per person down to like about $80, $90 a week if you're lucky. So now the only way you're going to make you really need to succeed in logistics in a high volume is if you have a high volume. You're talking 500, 600 employees that you're trying to reach out for a peak season. But the expenses and what can happen, one person gets injured, right? Bam. You know that for safety, bam, you're done. There goes the money right off your P&L. So again, when a staffing company approaches you, don't think that 40% is high. It's not. 44%. You see someone 55 up to 60% now. The reason being is also because you got to remember, with all those burden costs, all those burdens, right? You got to make money. So the staffing companies in to make money, just like the clients are to save money. The clients want to save, but what would make you choose one staffing company over another? And sometimes the pricing is not always the best. You talk about, okay, if I told you I was going to give you your employees at 40% markup, right? And then another company was going to say, well, we want a 55% markup. Okay. Most companies are going to say, whoa, I'm going to go with that 44%. But wait, there's a lot that you want to check into. You got to look at, again, burden costs, all that, right? But what makes you stand out? What makes you different than the others? Is it the price, again, for the service, right? You can look at that. The client's name, having those top clients, right? Big clients. Let's just say I always use Amazon, Coke and Pepsi. Man, if you were to sit there, a staffing company, and I was to approach you and say, well, we service Coca-Cola and Pepsi, so you must think to yourself, wow, in sales now, as a company, you might be like, okay, wow, they do Coke and Pepsi. But sometimes, and I'm being honest here, sometimes staffing for those bigger companies, they are tough, because in such a high volume that if you have one, or like I said, a couple things going wrong, you're not making as much money as people think you are. That's just the way it is for it. Hey, James, thanks. I appreciate James always. Hey, connect with James too. He does a great podcast on Wednesdays. But connect with James. You're really going to like his guest and everything that he does on sales and all different issues that we all talk about daily. But I appreciate that. But when you look at what makes the difference, would you choose me if I owned I did it one time, right? I'm not going to go there. But what makes me different than someone else? Is it The Office, right? Or Coca-Cola and Pepsi? Like I said, wow, he's got big clients. They must be really good. Not always. Don't always look at that. Sometimes you might want to get a client. You're not going to make much money off of it all. You're going to just, you got that cash flow kind of like you got that flow just going, but you need that high volume. Now you get some of the smaller companies, right? A little bit of the smaller companies, like 200, like that. Raise that, the markup percent up a little bit higher. And I'm telling you, you're going to see a difference because I appreciate Steve. Thanks. I knew you would, Steve. You understand all that. You do. He's been in staffing. He's a great guy for a lot of years. Kenny says hello to everybody, but it's not all fun and games when it comes down to it. Whoa, I got a guest on here. Oh my God. Hey, Bill, we were just talking about your Tubia the other night. How's it going, sir? Man, I thought you were on, I was going to reach out to you, Bill, but I heard you were on vacation this week or next week. Let me know. I'll give you a call. But it's always great to see friends, on here and colleagues. It's been a while. But what would make you choose one company over the other? Clients, Coke, if you had top clients, I looked at that. Bonuses, we've talked about how people give the bonuses. Some temporary staffing companies give out bonuses, but they got to build a client. There's just no way around it. Those $250 to $500 bonuses you can't absorb. As a staffing company, you couldn't absorb it. I mean, if you did, it'd have to be your markups would be extremely, extremely high, way, way high. So when you're looking at those bonuses, that's going to the client all the time, and you can negotiate that in there because you're going to have to. What's going to draw the perks from a different company? Alexander, price is seldom the motivating factor. Great podcast, Alex. Thanks, Alex. You try to think of some ideas, and I always hear people say that, wow, staffing companies are expensive. And I have to stick up for a little bit of that because when I had mine, and then plus running a couple staffing companies, it's not all what everybody thinks. Now, the direct hires, and I'll come back to this, some of the direct hire fees are high when you're looking at a 20% markup, right? I like them around 10%. I'm telling you, 10, 15%. But for a direct hire fee, like an $80,000, and you're getting 20% of that, people say that's outrageous. But remember when I told you, if you have a staff of 5 or 6 people, right? 5 or 6 people, and you have to try to take 2 people all day long, could take a week or 2 to find one person. Remember, you got to pay those salaries out of your P&L. You got to take those salaries. That they're not making that $15,000, $20,000 placement fee. A lot of that's going towards the cost. Now, where you want to make money, and there's nothing wrong with making money, is I want to be able to find that candidate. I want to be able to have that pool of candidates so good to choose from that when a company reaches out, I got that person. Then I'm going to make some money. Then I'm going to make some revenue there because I deserve it. You deserve, because if you're paying all your bills and everything like that of your branch and the P&Ls, you need that, jolt of a direct hire fee. Hey, there he is, Matt. Great topic. Staffing companies are cheaper than loss of business. Sorry, Matt. That was great. That is, oh my God. And he's so true with that, because a lot of people, I'm going to say it again real quick, and then I want to hit these other subjects. But remember, I'm going to give you a scenario. $10 an hour, 40% markup, $14 an hour, times about 8, you're making $32 per employee per day, right? Times it by 5, 160. Take out your burden cost, your 30%, 160. You're going to end up maybe $1 an hour profitability, if that. Now that's one. So you have to have high volume to be able to make money. And again, one thing goes wrong, something with safety, you get charged $2,000, $2,000 for expense or bad debt. You're not collecting your bills. You're going over your 30, 60, 120. You're getting billed a lot of money, and you're putting out all the expenses of your background checks, right? You couldn't even imagine in logistics, high volume, how many backgrounds you have to run to get, say, 10 people. You better have 50. Because the backgrounds, a lot of the companies, when they're charging, they're thinking, listen, they want a candidate that has 10 years or let's say 5 years background clear. Okay. It's the staffing companies to find those candidates. So when those people come in and you're doing those drug screens, right? Because you want them, you're doing the background checks because you want them. So every time somebody fails, guess what? That's like $45 a pop. Easy $45 for background check a pop just for that. So you lost. So the money that you're making on that employees, it would just blow you away to see, unless you had maybe 200 to 300 and you kept them solid. You go with a company with a higher markup sometimes that can afford to put the time and effort of interviewing a lot of the candidates, of trying to get them up there. Let's see, there they go. There you go. Kenny will be talking to everybody tonight. I'm still surprised, shocked that I got Bill in here, man. Look at that. There he is. But the cost that you occur with that is insane. Again, direct hires. Listen, there's some staffing companies that's all they do. Like Matt, you're doing accounting. Aston Carter, you're doing accounting jobs. You're doing IT. Listen, you got to spend a lot of money to make some money. You just better be prepared. When I had the company and I just couldn't, when I did it all myself and realized, wow, because all their expenses, everybody knows about your websites, about your Indeed. Throw the job boards on top of there now at a 20. Indeed's going to be going up to, I think, something like 20%. So not only now the staffing companies got to absorb that 20%, on top of that, they just negotiated. So don't always look at 44% of markup. Now, pre-COVID, you could get 32, 33, 34 if you had a tight ship and you could make some money. But now you're lucky. I think some of the staffing companies, I wouldn't be surprised if you really want to be successful to a client. Sometimes you're going to have to charge it's damn near 50% markup some places, and that in an area of Lehigh Valley of trying to find the candidates, that's where you have the challenge, and you got to really absorb all that cost. So when it comes to expense, don't always think that the cheapest is gonna get you. And Kenny's right. This is you got to spend money to make money, honey. And he's not lying, because when you do it yourself, man, I'll tell you, you just watch the money go. It was in San Diego last week. Vacation, Bar Harbor, Saturday for a week. Please give me a shout. Yep, I will, Bill. I'll give you a call. But it's nice to see you again. Thanks for coming on. So another thing is, what would make you choose? And I really believe that the customer service really comes down to customer service. If a company I was trying to sell and get in there, listen, you can't go in there and make false promises. As if you got staffing companies coming in saying, hey, we're going to fill your orders like that. We're going to get you. That is a hard pill to say that. And you feel it. If I'm doing a sale and I'm going to a client and I'm going to say, listen, I want to staff for you and I'm going to charge you a 50% markup, you might think that's high, but if I produce, if you produce and you give those clients the candidates, no, I'm not going to say good, better, but you could vet the candidates a little bit more. Would you go with a candidate that maybe had 6 jobs in the last 3 months? And it happens in logistics, I'm telling you. And some of the staffing agencies, you get people that have had 6 jobs, they just work a week and then they'll quit on you, or they don't show. And all you're doing is recycling them. You're recycling those candidates. But if you really want to find somebody that can take that time and effort, to put in that customer service, I think that's going to be a big win. Matt, with some medical companies, they require a medical screen, costs almost $300 for them to start. I'm going to leave that up there for a second. And again, reach out to Matt, Aston Carter. They do a lot of Matt. You can please put up there what you do. And that for accounting jobs and where you're at in Florida and everything like that, please put it up there and I'll put it up. But he's not joking. A lot of the money and the staffing company has to absorb that. But when I go back to the customer service, don't overpromise. If somebody comes in saying, we're going to find you these people, man, you got to be careful when you say that nowadays, because if I say that I'm going to staff for you, I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to do it. I don't want to go in there and then be embarrassed. And then 3 weeks, you're going to say, the customer would say, hey Dave, what's going on? That's where customer service and being honest, right? Being available for the client. I think really being available to them, going over to their sites more often, right? Visiting, showing your face, that really helps out a lot. My son just got accepted an internship with Tesla in California for the summer. He's excited for sure. One more year and he's done with college. That is friggin' outstanding. I love it. Bill, he can come over here right in Bethlehem. They have a distribution center too, right in Tesla. We staff for them. They pay very well. It's right about 25 minutes from my house here. Not a lot of people know it, but it's right in Bethlehem, Tesla. But that's the congratulations. That's friggin' awesome. Now you got to pay all of it back. But look at customer service when you're looking at some of the staffing companies. Seriously, you look at the cost. You're going to look at the cost because if corporate's telling you, you need to find somebody cheap, that's up to you. And I'm just being honest with you. I know the cost, and it's like taking dice with logistics and throwing it out there. Are you going to make money or not? Even at a 44%, if you have a good EOR or if you have a good workers' comp state, that'll help too, because the workers' comp cost just goes up and up and up, and you're just absorbing. That staffing company has to absorb it all at the same rate. Now, a lot of people say, well, that's part of it. It doesn't make sense. It's the staffing company is there for you, and you're there for them. You need to really, nowadays, it's work together. Customer service, being honest. Listen, being honest with the people, returning their calls. You see how they do, when you talk with somebody, visit the site, meet your employees in a staffing company. It really helps for you to show your face and just go out to the customer. Again, it's a team. It's not just like, hey, get me these people. I need them now. And those days are over. It was like that, to where, man, you put that threat in there. Listen, we're going to go to someone else. And the way staffing companies are sometimes it's okay to go somewhere else, because if a company that I'm with couldn't provide for you, and I'm telling you I can, and then the client's saying, well, we're going to go with someone else, well, then that's okay. It's okay to break up with a client. Really, it is. It's okay to break up with a client. If it's not working out for you with a company, listen, that you have all the rights, and so does the staffing company. We're not making revenue. You're not making revenue. We have high turnover. We have all these stuff going on. How are we both going to win? How are we both going to work together and say, you know what, we have corporates, yes, but how are we going to work as a team, and let's win for each other? That's the way I look at it. Matt says, with a company like ours, we specialize in office type jobs. I specialize in accounting and finance professionals. And please reach out to Matt. He's not joking. He's the one who does those direct hires. And they're, again, he can vouch for that. I mean, it's not like you're defending, but a lot of people just think staffing companies are real expensive. Some other things that would stand out when you look at the reviews of a staffing company. I know reviews are negative, the majority, but you got to answer. You got to respond to a lot of them also. So if you're looking on your reviews and somebody's putting negative things up there, go back and reply to it. Reply to the review. Either, sometimes it's kind of saying like the customer's right all the time. When you work at Walmart or your customer service, the customer's always right. Sometimes they're not, but you got to just put that out there and just say, listen, we apologize for your whatever happened. Please reach out to us. Let's see if we can talk and see, respond to the reviews. So when you're looking for companies, look at the reviews. Again, I know people are going to say they're all negative, but you can see a pattern. So if you see a cheaper, if you want to say cheaper, less markup, and then you see low reviews, 1.2, 2.1, you gotta look at some of that. If they're not responding to it, if you're looking at a company with a website that's just outdated, that hasn't been updated, they're the kind of things that it's not just about the money. And that's what you got to look at. Here, Matt says, a good example is if your company is in construction, your HR team may not know how to search and hire the best accounting professionals, which is a very smart part of the business, but very important. You know what? If Matt couldn't fill jobs with a direct hire, if you don't fill some direct hires, baby, you You really got you're gonna hear from your bosses because you gotta produce. You gotta get those candidates in there. And direct hires, that's where you're gonna make your revenue. Kenny says this past April 18th, I celebrated 34 years at the same employer. My turnover rate is 0. Love it. And you can tell he's passionate about his job. Kenny, you love your job. You know it. Another thing that you want to look at is, like I said, the website's outdated. Look at it. Some companies really put some good money into their websites and utilize them correctly. So that's something for you to look at. Look at when take a vote. Visit the staffing office as a branch manager. Invite them over. Invite your clients to your turf, right? Let them educate the client of where all that cost, right? And how to be successful with each other. Educate them. Have them come to your office. Meet there. You don't always have to meet at the clients. Invite them over to your house. Bring them over. Have some coffee, sit down and introduce the staff and look at what kind of experience that you have. Look at some of the recruiters. If you got 2 new recruiters or 3 and you have one person that's been there for 10 years, sometimes, not always bad, but if you have a high turnover of recruiters, that can really affect your fill rate also because they're not as experienced and we're just bringing them in and that's on the staffing company that goes there. But look at the experience of a team, educate your customer, educate them on every single thing that you have that you can say, that the things that can happen and what will make you both be successful. And you're going to pull ahead of each other. Look at the training courses, education. Look what they provide. Some companies now, staffing companies, and I've seen it. I think even Manpower does it. They put out, they contribute to schooling. That's outstanding. I mean, it's a selling point, but you got to do something to get the candidates in. You really, in the world of staffing, you want to make your company stand out, man. You want that company to look good on social media, to look good when you're doing videos and you're talking about your business, making sure you're educated within the field, what you're servicing. If you're doing logistics, that's great. Like, I don't know what Matt does. Matt, I have never done accounting, and could I? Yeah, I could staff for him, but I guarantee Matt has a lot more experience than that. And he probably could find somebody within, just say, a week faster than myself. And that week can be a lot because he's got a pool of candidates. He knows what to ask for. He knows what to look like, not just somebody that says, hey, I'm an accountant here. You don't want to do that in direct hires. And I think he'll agree with that because you want to fill it and you want them to stay. If you're just filling that order thinking that you're going to get that direct hire fee and they're not really a good fit, that's not really a win-win because then you got to guarantee them sometimes 30, 60, 90 days. And that there too will really get a staffing company on that part. It'll really go. Let's see. Bill said, I'm trying to hire a salesperson for Midwest region. Bill, feel free to put on where you're hiring for. And, please reach out for Bill. He's looking for a salesperson and reach out to him in the Midwest region. And you can put it on here, Bill, and I'll post it back up there for software sales. No, there is. So software sales. So, reach out to Bill. And then Matt says sales is a very niche recruit because of the bonus factor. There are places that specialize in that. And he's true. I love what I do and I do what I love. Kenny. So I got a couple more things about it, but again, cost, don't always look at the expense. I mean, the lower rate or the higher rates. Don't ever look at that. Look at these things behind the scene and you're going to see a lot different. Take clients that you can be successful, right? If you go into sales and you're going into a company and you're forced to get that and you're like, oh God, I don't want to staff for this company. Oh boy, you go with that gut feeling, boy. If you can't do it, don't do it. You're only going to hurt your team because what it's going to take to staff for them. And you got 8 hours or 10 hours for a recruiter a day, and you don't want to force them to work longer hours just to fill those orders when it's hard. Matt says for higher level, we can do up to 6-month guarantee. Look at that, 6 months. A lot of people wouldn't know that. So what that means is that person has to stay there for 6 months. If they don't, the staffing companies have to replace that candidate at their cost. So think about that. They've made that money. Now all of a sudden, if Matt or somebody doesn't have another person lined up, boy, you really, you'll take a loss. You really get hit with that. And that's what I learned in the direct hires is find that right candidate. Don't rush it for a couple days to find somebody. I personally, direct hires, I put a lot of time into it because that's what it's about, making money in a staffing company. That's what it's about. It's not to lose money. It's not to go around and say, hey, utilize us. We're cheap, and we'll fill your orders, but we're not going to make nothing. Yeah, I know, Bill, 6 months. That's what I said. But think about it. They're the kind of ones that are a little bit nervous. Discuss your plan. Discuss your staffing plan with your client. Find out what they're hurting for. Listen, some of the companies, I'm blown away with the high pay rates, and you can't fill it. Something is wrong. In today's world, you can't just overlook it. You got to have those hard conversations with a client. You got to be able to sit down in a room with them. And if it's okay, 2 against 1, 3 against 1, right? But be knowledgeable what you're staffing for. And you're going to see you'll end up working together. You will work together. Any business wants to make money. And that's what I mean. And I'm not, like I said, Kenny, tonight, I just wanted people to realize that staffing has cost, and especially nowadays, this high turnover. But that's what really hurts the staffing industry is the high turnover. So if I'm going to go with a client that has high turnover, peak seasons, now peak's different because you're hiring for a peak season. So the candidates that that you're going to get, you're going to say, listen, guys and girls, hey, this is a 2-month peak. Look at Amazon, how they do that. They spend a fortune. It's a peak season. That. You're not telling them that it's full time afterwards. You're being very honest with them and a client, and you'll be successful the more honest that you are. I know that sounds crazy. You're probably laughing at that one, Matt. The more honest you are, the better off you're going to be in staffing. You can't hide. Those days are gone. Be truthful, educate your client, and show both pains. Their pain point, but you can solve it because you got the pool of candidates. You got that staff knows how to reach out to people. You got a pool of 2,000 maybe in your database recently, that you can reach out and grab every week. Reach out to those clients, or candidates, but they're the ones that you really want to look for. Last thing I want to talk about is the social media part of it. Go with a company that's really utilizing social media for logistics, and all industries probably work too, but logistics for like on your Facebook and stuff like that, TikTok and all that, that's really where it's at. Everybody has different opinions and I can go back and forth on that. Just utilize what works best for you. Don't listen to anybody else. Utilize what best works for you. Because some people you'll say, well, Facebook's great. Other ones say, no, they suck. Some people say TikTok. Some people say no. Whatever works for you, get that niche. Get on there just like this. Do your videos. Do your postings. Do your postings to show you what you show within your staffing company. If you're a client and I was to bring you on, if I was backing with the staffing, check it out. Check out what they're putting out there on social media. Make it look sharp. Make it look sharp. Make the candidates that you want, draw them towards you. Get them to come to you. You don't want to have to look for them. If you utilize social media in the proper different areas, like different, I take like a circle and there's like 5 new points that I'm working on in this project and how to be successful with 5 points and a 90-day plan. Matt, I'm going to talk to you about that. I've been working on, I really like it. It's a plan that I have that a company could take, and it's just 5 main points and what to do. And in 90 days, you should see the results. And I'm going to be pressing it a lot more coming in the weeks. And it's really a good plan that I've worked hard on and trying to figure out what would best work for a staffing company, to My vision is to have candidates come to me. I don't want to have to go to them. I know that sounds crazy, but put yourself out there, your company constantly, and stay consistent and really, really sharp. And you're going to start seeing them when they see your ads. They're going to see your offices. Another thing is office location when you're looking for companies. If you got companies that are their branches 40 minutes away, they weigh your options as clients and customers. So let's see here. Let's see, Matt. Oh, I will tell you this: if someone hired in peak season is great, the company will find a way to keep them. And Matt, when I was with another staffing company, we would tell them that some of the top companies in the peak seasons, if you really perform well, you're going to get full time. They're going to keep you. They would tell you, "Oh, we want this person." I like the buyout feature in logistics. Again, it's a cost. People will say, "Wow, after 520 hours, I can buy them out for $500 to $1,000 or something like that." Yeah. If you want to buy that candidate from me, that's what it looks like. I keep saying me, but I mean like a staffing company. You got to pay, but you're getting the value that if you were to, like a lot of the companies, listen, a lot of the companies, corporations now, clients, they're having the cost of recruiting also. So they're just not utilizing one staffing company. If they want to use 2 or 3 or 4 plus their own recruiting team, the cost is astronomical for everyone. The cost for the client, the Indeeds, the job boards, the career builders, the Zip recruiters, God, even Craigslist is coming back up. Monster, all them, that big cost is for everybody. And you're all going to pay. We all are going to pay. So all the expense that a staffing company sees, listen, our goal would be to win. Our goal would be to reduce the safety incidents, right? Reduce the cost of turnover for you, for the client, reduce it, or you're not going to work. And be honest with the client. And I'm going to finish up on this, but be honest with the client and why you're having the turnover. And both of you try to work together and solve it. Not just, oh, did you talk to them today? No. Tough conversations will get the results. And that there, I like what Matt said there. And Kenny, thanks a lot. And I'll be back on, God, tomorrow's Friday already. Be back on Mother's Day, Sunday night. I'll be back on. And I appreciate always, guys, that's coming on the show. And everybody really look at staffing companies not at a cost of who's cheaper, who's, if you want to say cheaper or more expensive, or 40% markup versus a 50 or 55. What's the different? What are you going to get? As a client, you need to check in to see what you're going to get. See if they're going to vet your candidates better for a higher markup. Are you getting the quality of candidates that you're paying for? Those are the kind of things that you got to look at. So everybody, really, thanks a lot. I got 2 more comments here. Oh, I didn't even see that. Rob, you came in. Hey, Rob, we're going to be heading off here, but Rob came in a little bit late. And Bill, thanks a lot for coming on. And I'll give you a call next week. And again, guys, I appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon.